Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 22nd episode of the Drive Podcast. As always, your hosts, Jared, Kyle. Kyle, we had a lot to talk about today, especially to do with the Sixers and Flyers and their recent free agency pickups, free agency losses. One in specific that we're both very sad about. But other than that, a lot of good deals going on in Philly this week, Kyle.
Yeah, the Sixers have done a million things, and the Flyers were just we'll just take a back seat for a little bit. We're just gonna chill for a little bit, just get our goalie and leave.
Yeah. If you didn't hear, we'll get to that.
We'll
probably talk. Yeah, we'll talk Sixers first, since they kind of made some
pretty
big splashes. Yeah, they made some pretty big splashes in the free agency market. A couple unexpected signings. Added some vets, so now they are looking even better than they were.
Yeah.
We already kind of figured without free agent signings that this team would be pretty much a playoff team. With a small chance that they didn't make the playoffs just because the youth, possible injuries and whatnot, inexperience basically. But now they signed J.J. Redick and Amir Johnson. We'll get to the specifics of the deals. I mean, I'm sure you've probably
heard by now, but it's alright.
Heard by now what the deals are. As Nick Williams hits a ball 400 feet, but it's caught on the track. Damn it. Anyway,
City Field.
But yeah, these guys, Amir Johnson, J.J. Redick, they had, obviously we needed depth at the 4/5, which is what Amir Johnson provides, and we also needed some shooting plus a veteran guard to kind of guide, Fultz, Stauskas, Korkmaz, who's coming over, T.J. McConnell, some of those guys through big time moments and whatnot. We already know T.J. McConnell's Mr.
Clutch.
So
yeah.
So yeah, but honestly, I really like the signing. So it's adding a lot. So the Redick deal was a 1-year, $23 million deal, which is amazing.
Yeah, that could not have been any better. Honestly,
it really couldn't have. Pretty much every insider, quote-unquote insider, everybody, including a lot of Sixers fans, thought, there's no way Redick signs a 1-year deal where he can, or when he could, alternatively sign a multi-year deal with, a different team, maybe a Miami or even say with the Clippers or whatever, and sign probably for a 3-year, maybe take a $70 million deal, because he's gonna get $23 million a year. So, but no, he did. He took the 1 year to sign with Philly to play with the young guys, to play with Fultz, Simmons, and B, Dario, Covington, Luau Cabarrot. He took the money and a short-term deal, understanding what the plan in Philly is. And who knows, if he plays lights out, obviously we're going to have to extend Covington probably this year and Embiid next summer. So when those times come, obviously, but if the cap this year didn't go up as much as it was projected to. So if it takes a really big leap and Redick's kind of willing to stick around, I wouldn't be opposed to him to re-signing him next year, but we're going to way too ahead of ourselves talking about that. Well, at least I am, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, by the time that, by next offseason, we might be a team that looks like a serious title contender for the next season, and then JJ might be I'll just take a pay cut then, just to stick with a team that could be a dynasty. Legitimately, that could happen. And it's not that crazy of a thought. And the same thing with Amir Johnson,
Exactly.
I don't think that they're necessarily gonna go with Amir next season. I think this is just, you're here for depth, you're here for veteran leadership. But JJ's a guy who, he plays really well this year. The Sixers make the playoffs, make it to the second round, if we're lucky the third round. That's a guy who maybe comes back and says, you know what, this team has a chance to be a dynasty. I'll just come back and win championship after championship.
Yeah, exactly. And to go back to the Amir thing, he that deal is really team friendly, because you figure he probably won't play that much. I would give him maybe a cap, like, at absolute maximum of, like, 16 minutes, 18 minutes a game, maybe 20.
If he's lucky, yeah.
Like, that would be, like, best case scenario, because we have, obviously, Embiid, Simmons, Dario, Holmes. We still have Okafor, so, they'll more than likely, Brett Brown will more than likely still want to get, assuming Okafor is still on the team when the season comes around, you would probably imagine that Brett Brown would want to get Okafor minutes, because of just like a kind of a shakeup, because you figure Okafor was kind of like the starting center for a lot of last year when Embiid was out, or like when Embiid didn't play back-to-backs, and that was without, Fultz, Simmons, and that was before Dario kind of really stepped his game up. Yeah. So you got to figure Okafor, you never know. Okafor could be a diamond in the rough this season.
You know what I was thinking?
Hopefully.
If Okafor gets in the game, I imagine that they would have Okafor and Johnson as the pair, like as a 4-5, because Johnson is a pretty good defender, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, then that's basically what Okafor needs. He needs a 4 that is a defensive stalwart, so Okafor can just handle things in the post and dominate there where he always does. And then on defense, he can have a mirror to back him up in case he just sucks, as he always does on defense. So that would actually probably be a solid bench 4 and 5.
Yeah, it would be. And I, as much as I, as much as I want, Okafor to not be on this team, I kind of do want to see him, just because of, last year we didn't really have, Embiid for the whole season, obviously. We didn't have Simmons. We didn't have Fultz. Jared Bayless was injured for the whole season, practically, aside from 3 games. Our point guards were T.J. McConnell and Sergio Rodriguez. Not taking anything away from those guys, because, they did all right in their time.
But they're not a Fultz or a Simmons.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, and, when you have Robert Covington as kind of your best player for most of the time when Embiid was down, and aside from, Dario toward the end of the season.
But that's not
when
good. You
have Covington as your thing, you're not going to really get a lot of chances, speaking about Okafor. So I kind of do want to see him play with, Fultz, Simmons, whatnot. But I still think it's just, he would have to drastically improve for me to change my mind, just because of how much of a pretty much a one-dimensional player he is, because he can't play defense, he can't run the break, he can't shoot beyond 15 feet out, and even that's shaky. He could literally only play with his back to the basket, which is not, viable for today's NBA. So it'll be a tough fit for him going forward, but I truly do hope, because then we could have a pretty solid, center duo going forward in Embiid and Okafor, and then move Holmes pretty much, full-time to the power forward spot to play with Simmons or Dario and whatnot, and then that rotation right there would be insane. So
they have a lot of just options, and that's great. There's no reason, again, barring injury, that this team shouldn't contend for a playoff spot. Unless there's a shit ton of major injuries, I don't see any reason why this team can't be in the playoffs. Unless Brett Brown completely fucks up as coach, which we're desperately hoping he doesn't, but...
Yeah, I really doubt he does, because you figure he's done, last year with what he had for most of the season, for the rest of the 52 games that Embiid, or however many games, 51 games that Embiid was out, whether it was post-injury or on back-to-backs. And he still almost took these guys to 30 wins. You look at the team last year without Embiid, without Simmons, with Dario as, just a first-year guy, not playing a lot at the beginning of the year because he's behind, Ersan Ilyasova and whatnot. And he almost took him to 30 wins. So you would think that with Fultz in, Simmons back, Embiid back, Dario at, in his second year, after getting all that confidence, coming on runner-up of the Rookie of the Year, which is BS, by the way.
That was... Embiid should have won, honestly, and if not Embiid, then it should have been Dario. There's no fucking reason why Brogdon should have won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Brogdon winning it was pretty much like last night, well, I say last night, like Saturday night when Manny Pacquiao lost that fight. Like that was kind of like a
like
the dude that he lost. I don't even know the dude's name. Like I really don't like I don't know the dude's name, which is kind of it's whatever.
Like,
Jeff Horn, I think.
Yeah, that's I know
like,
that was the last name, but
yeah, like that, whatever. But not to go on about that. But like sure, Brogdon played for a playoff team, but like that just shows that like he had better help around him. Like he had a healthy Giannis around him the whole year. He had Jabari Parker, who had a decently breakout season this past year until he got hurt, I believe. Thon Maker, he had a good year as well. Like these guys are whatever. But Dario or Embiid should have won it, but they didn't. It's whatever. I'm not gonna get too mad about it because it's just a small trophy in the big scheme of things. So I'm whatever with it. But Gerald Henderson, he was waived, so now he's gone. That pretty much made room for Furkan Korkmaz, which
he's Furkan
best
here.
name.
He's Furkan here.
Best name probably in the NBA right now, like without a doubt.
Easily.
And I'm not sure if we mentioned this, but the Amir Johnson deal was 1 year, $11 million. So more than likely he'll be gone next year, one way or the other. Whether it be whether he stick around through the season and then just go in free agency, or whether we trade him or something.
He honestly might just be like a deadline guy who's just like we don't really need him. It's just kind of we had him just in case that I don't know. It like honestly like I don't really see how he's gonna, like you said, like he's not gonna play a lot, but he's just a nice guy to have on the bench and just kind of be there just in case shit gets crazy with injuries and stuff. So
yeah, and he'll get his time because presumably they're not gonna play Embiid every night, especially on every back-to-back. Like he'll probably play back-to-backs this year. Not all of them, obviously. He'll get nights off here and there, everything. Ben, you gotta assume Ben Simmons. He'll probably get nights off. Same with Dario. So it's, he'll get his time when these guys are off because you wouldn't think that they're gonna have these guys off on the same nights.
Oh yeah. They would.
So, when Embiid's out or when Embiid's sitting out a night or when Ben's sitting out a night, Johnson, he'll probably get 5, 10, 15, possibly more minutes. So you got to figure he'll get his showcase time in there, and hopefully, and it's a pretty movable contract.
Oh yeah, easily.
At $11 million because
and it's only 1 year, so.
Yeah, exactly. So like teams, obviously we're not going to get a ton for him just because he would be a deadline guy on a 1 year deal, and it wouldn't be that much. So I don't know. I like the signings either way. So I really like the movement, or I really like the direction the Sixers are going in right now.
Yeah, you can tell that they're trying to win, and that's like when people said, "Oh, the process would never get big time free agents here." Not that JJ Redick and Amir Johnson are big time free agents, but they're not scrubs either. Like people want to come here to play with these guys. So
yeah, well, Redick is arguably like one of the biggest free agents that we've had. I mean, like not by any means like guys like Blake Griffin, CP3, obviously before they re-signed, and with CP3 the sign and trade,
but for
or with
us,
Gordon Hayward or whatever.
But like for us,
but like
big.
For us, JJ Redick is a pretty marquee free agent.
Like
especially
what,
with
like wasn't basically Elton Brand the last actual big time free agent that we got?
I think so. Yeah.
God, it's
like,
and that was like 2008. Like man, it's been a while.
Something like that, yeah. Like they're whatever. So the remaining cap space currently for the Sixers is about $15 million. And after next year, it is, I believe, estimated at about $40 million. And that's assuming that both Redick and Johnson do not resign. And it also, I believe, doesn't take into account, it might, I'm not sure, Robert Covington's extension. Because we're going to extend him. It's just, we can't do it until November because that's how his rookie deal, I think, was like worked out or whatever. So I would assume that we can't officially extend him until November. I would assume that the Sixers and his agents are probably already in talks, if not have a deal for an extension already. They just can't make it official until November. So,
I wouldn't be surprised if November 1st he'd be signed, just because they probably already have it done.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the free agency thing. Like you can't make it official until midnight on whenever the date was, June 30th or July 1st. But like, teams are gonna do it. Like teams are gonna be talking with them, and the Sixers are gonna be talking with Covington probably all summer to get this extension done, and then next summer we're gonna have to extend Embiid. So that'll be fun. I don't think. You see, the thing with Embiid is I don't think he is gonna like sit and demand max, because he realizes the injury history with him, and that we're not gonna want to sit here and max him.
It's gonna be interesting. I watched the 30 for 30 special on ESPN with like Shaq and Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
It's basically like, don't be like Shaq and like force the Sixers into giving you like a max deal. Like, please don't do that to us. Just realize what's going on here, and that you can be a part of a team that's going to win championship after championship like easily, because eventually the Warriors will just get worse. Mm-hmm. So just relax. Just understand what we're trying to do here. But
and think like of what KD is doing right now. Like he said he's going to wait throughout the entire free agency period, because he's technically not on the Warriors right now. Like he's technically a free agent right now,
which is crazy to think.
Like it's weird. Like he's not on he's technically not on the Warriors right now. I mean, he's gonna re-sign with them, but he's gonna wait through the entire free agency period so that the Warriors could get all their guys redone. Because obviously Steph, the 5-year $201 million supermax that he signed, plus they just re-signed Iguodala to a 3-year $45 million deal, I think it was.
How do they afford these players? I don't understand the NBA.
Don't know. Well, the thing with Steph is they have his bird rights, which means that they can go over
like whatever they want, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they can go over the cap to keep him. And I believe they also have those for Clay and Draymond, but I forget how the rights work, but like I think there's something where like you can only have a certain amount of guys under the bird rights rule. So you got to figure in a couple of years, like when Clay and Draymond have to get re-signed, it's gonna be tough. Like, it's gonna be tough to keep all those guys together because of how much money they're gonna be all taking. Because you got to figure Clay will probably get a max, Draymond will probably get a max, if not very close to it. Hey, plus you have to keep KD, and you can't play with 4 players on the court. You need like 9, because you kind of need a bench. Yeah. So like that it's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be really, really tough for Golden State. But who knows? They could probably do it somehow, some way. So
Golden State
we'll have to worry about them for a few years.
They'll be the Blackhawks of the NBA. Just we just get all the signings. Who cares?
Yeah.
Everyone takes pay cuts to be with us.
Millions at them. Yeah. It's like, hey, you want to play with this guy? Take like $5 million pay cut. Play with him. Win a title. So.
Like Patrick Sharp just took literally a $1 million contract just to play with Chicago, which
pretty much
doesn't make sense because I really don't think Chicago's that fucking great. Like they're not, they're obviously still a really good team, but I don't consider them title contenders at this point. Like I don't know.
It's tough,
it's weird,
especially with how, because Nashville obviously got better with Benino, and then, you gotta figure Pittsburgh they're still Pittsburgh.
Who traded for
other
Ryan
teams got
Reeves.
good. Yeah, other teams got decent too. Like I'll say the Calgary they did get pretty good. I pretty much
did pretty well.
Most of what they did. I like what they did. Obviously every team is not gonna be perfect in a signing.
Like Montreal,
except the Sixers.
Yeah, except the Sixers.
Because their free agency was beautiful, but yeah, really with the Sixers, the only thing left to kind of talk about is who is going to make the team, who's not. Because at this point, the guys that will more than likely, so at the moment, you got to figure these guys will be on the roster. So you got Fultz, you got Bayless, McConnell at the point. Technically, the point. Ben Simmons will probably be
technically.
Whatever. J.J. Redick, Nick Stauskas, Furkan Korkmaz, Covington, Luau Cabarro, Ben, Dario, and Amir Johnson. And then you got Embiid, Holmes, and Okafor. But then the guys like Justin Anderson, Alex Poitras, and Thiago Splitter are still technically on the roster and still under contract. I think Thiago Splitter's a free agent, so I think I forget what his deal is. He'll probably just end up getting cut.
There's no room for him at this point.
Yeah. Alex Poitras, I don't know. You see, the thing with him is I don't know if he would take like an assignment to the 87ers. So that's whatever. But the thing with Korkmaz is I think he probably will play with the 87ers a good bit. Because he's like, I'm not sure how tall he. I'll actually look it up right now, but he's really not a big guy. He's he is 6'7", and I don't think he weighs 180 pounds. I think he weighs maybe that 180, and he's 6'7". So he'll have to get some serious strength and conditioning and whatnot programs through the Sixers. So he'll probably be with the 87ers. So that kind of opens up room for Justin Anderson, because I would probably take him over Alex Poitras just because of how good of a defender he is. But I don't know. It's gonna be a squeeze, and that's something that we really haven't had with the Sixers. We haven't really had a roster squeeze, because now we have to kind of move someone. And if we can move Justin Anderson, maybe grab a second rounder or something, or trade somebody else, maybe Bayless. Who knows? It's gonna be a crunch at this point, but we'll just have to see.
You would think some team would be open to trading for one of these guys, because like Anderson still has a lot of value. I think it's not first round value, but I think that they could get something back for him. Splitter, maybe, but yeah, like it's a good problem to have, and it's the first time that we've seen this in a while. So it's gonna be it's definitely gonna be interesting, because I don't think, I'll say this. I think the Sixers are done in free agency, but I don't think they're done making moves on the roster. So because they need to do something, because right now they have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have 14 guys who need minutes pretty much, basically,
and that's tough. There's going to be injuries to somebody.
And there's going to be rest days, but there's going
to be rest days and everything. So it'll be a tough squeeze, but it's a very good problem to have, like you said before.
Yeah, with the starting lineup that they have, I'm fine with having to give lesser minutes to some guys so that we have a lineup like we're probably going to have to start the year.
Yeah,
so. Because
you got to figure with the starting lineup that we have, presumably Fultz, Redick, Covington, Simmons, and Embiid. On offense, you got to figure Simmons and Fultz will probably split ball handling duties. Redick and Covington, they'll probably just stand on the 3-point line.
Yeah,
and let those two guys just do whatever. Covington, I bet you Covington just stands on the 3-point line just so that he could save energy for guarding the other team's best player on defense.
Most likely.
And then Embiid is just going to be setting screens,
running everywhere,
picking pops. They're literally going to be doing it. Embiid's just going to be setting screens for whoever is handling the ball, or back cut screens for whoever doesn't have the ball, while Redick and Covington set double pick screens for Embiid, and then pick and pop off a 3 on a screen by Ben on a dish from the possibilities with this lineup, Fultz, Redick, Covington, Simmons, Embiid, are endless. Because everybody right there that I just named can shoot the hell out of the ball. Maybe aside from Simmons, but from what I've been seeing in videos and reports from the facility, a lot of people are saying his shot's starting to come around, which is that's scary. So
exactly, because that's basically like when LeBron James finally figured out how to shoot well. It's GG for the opponents. And that's how it's going to be if Simmons develops a really good shot. And yeah, there's just like they could play like an old school offense and still be dominant. Like they could play a 90s offense and still be like crazy good because Simmons and Embiid would just rip people to shreds in the post.
Yeah, because you figure Simmons he's too quick to be guarded by a 4. He's too big to be guarded by 3s and below. He is like too agile. Like his midair control, his passing ability. Like you're not gonna be able to guard him with 4s and 5s. I mean, 4s are going to have to guard him, but you're gonna need some like crazy stretch 4s that are gonna have to guard him.
Like
and
really
generally stretch
4s.
And generally stretch 4s are not good defenders. They're just kind of there as 3-point guys and people to spread the floor. So it'll be a tough defend on Simmons, which is scary because then you figure you have to help on other guys, leave him open, and then double team him, and then all of a sudden you just have Fultz, Redick, Covington, and Embiid just waiting. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be very fun to watch this team kind of grow together, especially with how young they all are, obviously. So yeah, excited for the Sixers season to start. But there are other teams in Philadelphia, and the next team we'll be talking about, Flyers. They also had their free agency. So, what are your kind of thoughts about how their free agency went, Kyle?
Steve Mason should never have left, and I hate Michael Neuvirth with a burning passion. I'm kidding, but okay. So obviously I was sad about Mason leaving, but I had expected for months basically, so it's whatever. But signed Brian Elliott to a 2-year, $5.75 million deal. 2.75 is the AAV for it. It's 0.25 above what Neuvirth makes. Vecchione was signed to a 2-year deal at $850,000. I don't think he makes the roster to start the year. Like that's just there's too many forwards on this team for him to have a legitimate shot. I just unless Weiss is like so bad in training camp that they're like we literally cannot have this guy on the team, then that's the only way I could see it. Yeah. And I don't really see that as an issue. Like that just makes the AHL team better. And he had 2 games here last year. I don't know why people thought that he was going to make the roster to start the year. Like he didn't show that much in those 2 games, and it was 2 games. So it's better for him to just kind of chill in the AHL and develop anyway. Speaking of the AHL, Corbin Knight and Phil Varone were signed, just 2 forwards. Knight was on the Phantoms last year, basically just to help the AHL team. And then the big story. Nolan Patrick had surgery on June 13th. The report was that the recovery time is 4 to 6 weeks from the time of his injury. It's not that
already...
It's already like 3 weeks in. Yeah. So he's fine. Okay, so Kyle Scott from Crossing Broad had to basically have a retweet Armageddon for something that he didn't even prove a point on, in saying that, the Flyers were really concerned about his injury history, and they obviously weren't because they took him anyway. So I don't understand why people are freaking out about Nolan Patrick. He's fine. He'll be ready by early August. Training camp doesn't start until September. Yeah. Why does this matter? Why? Yeah, it really. Why does this even why is this relevant to anyone in the Philly media? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. It's like if they were concerned about him, they would have traded down.
Yeah. Or they would have just picked someone else. Like they had the opportunity to pick someone else.
Yeah, it's nothing to be too worried about. Obviously, when a kid is coming into the league and he's injured, or he has surgery before the draft, obviously, and that's somewhat concerning. It always is. Whenever anybody goes through a surgery and is expected out 4 to 6 weeks, something could go wrong. Whatever. Obviously, you hope it doesn't. In every case, love the player, hate the player, whatever. But still, it's like you wouldn't take a chance. I wouldn't even say take a chance. You wouldn't draft the guy if you didn't think that he would be completely healthy, 100% healthy for the regular season. And Hextall said that. He expects him to be 100% healthy for training camp. So even if he wasn't 100% healthy for training camp, the regular season doesn't start till what, October?
Yeah.
So
he still would go through preseason.
Yeah, like that is 4 months beyond surgery, and last time I checked, 4 to 6 weeks is like a month and a half. So, I think he's gonna. I think that's fine. I think he's fine.
Yeah, like it's, and like you said, I get that there's concern with it because, and this is the same issue that he had before. Like he has, like it was with the sports hernia, which had been a recurring issue for him. But again, it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's 4 to 6 weeks. He's gonna be back by September. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like it's just,
exactly.
It's a non-issue. So just to get into the main thing, Brian Elliott obviously is now the other part of the tandem for the Flyers. So it'll be Neuvirth and Elliott for the next 2 years, most likely, unless they trade one of the two next offseason. But I really like the deal. Like they really could not be better. It's a cheap deal. It's for only 2 years, unlike the first report that said 3 years. 3 wouldn't have even been that bad. It's just 2 years is a lot more ideal, especially if Carter Hart and Felix Sandstrom progress like they're expected to.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been mentioning like how Elliott struggled last year with Calgary, but I'm just like I'm not worried about it. There's a 30 Thoughts by Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet, and he goes through like he interviewed Elliott, and Elliott said about like his transition to Calgary, it was so hard for him because he had to adjust to how his defense played in front of him. Like he didn't know how his defensemen would take angles. He didn't know how they would do against 2-on-1s. And it's just like, that's a big thing for a goalie because you don't know how much you have to cheat to one side. You don't know when to go down because you're just kind of like, shit, what are my defensemen doing? So, and granted, that's still on him. Like, he should have been communicating with his defenders when he got to Calgary, like, right away. I mean, like, hey, what are you guys' tendencies? Like, what do you do? And, like, studying game film and everything. But, like, he said that he would go ahead and do that more. Like, he said, wherever I go next, I think it was... He's basically said, wherever I go next, I'm going to communicate a lot more with the defenders and, understand what their tendencies are. So...
Yeah.
I see no reason why he can't be basically a .917 save percentage guy who wins most of his games and just is a solid goalie. Like, he's not going to be a stud, but he's not going to be a scrub either. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to kind of go back on the thing with the communication with guys, obviously, when you have, I said this yesterday when you mentioned it, but like when you have, guys who, so if you take our defense, and if you put, Morin and Hag alongside with Provorov, Ghost, and Gudis, aside from Gudis, there's nobody on that. Andrew McDonald, I guess, or Brandon Manning, whoever.
We don't count those two.
Yeah, but that's whatever. And even Sanheim, he could be.
Sanheim could very well make the team.
Yeah, so you figure we'll put it best case best case scenario where Sanheim, Hag, and Morin makes the team, and then you have your 6 defensemen as Provorov, Ghost, Gudis, Morin, Sanheim, and Hag, right? When you have a veteran goalie who will come in and immediately talk to those guys, figure out their tendencies and everything, that relieves so much pressure from a young defenseman. I mean, it's not just in hockey; it's in everything. When you figure in football, when you have young offensive linemen, young quarterbacks, young receivers, and basketball when you have young guards or whatever. If you get veterans to come in, talk to these guys, figure out what they like to do, what they don't like to do, what they're comfortable with and everything, it's just so much of a morale boost. It just alleviates so much pressure, and it's just overall a really good thing for a young guy, especially a hockey defenseman who there's only 2 of them on the ice at once, and there's a lot of forwards these days aren't the greatest at defending. We're fortunate to have a few that are, which will also alleviate pressure from these guys. So it's really just like you said. It's a really good sign. The 2 years, I'm really a big fan of it. And if it were to be 3 years, so be it. But whatever, it's perfect. It's 2 years is a really good bridge to Hart and Sandstrom. Even if we only have to take him 2 years, and then Hart and Sandstrom don't progress as much as they're kind of expected to, and we have to use Stolars or whoever Lyon for a year as with Neuwirth, because what's his deal? Was it his 2 or 3 years?
2, yeah, 2 at 2.5.
Yeah, so even if we had to use Stolars and extend Mason, or I'm sorry, Mason, if we had to extend Neuwirth or Elliott for another year or whatever, just to bridge to Hart and Sandstrom, then it would be fine. Like, it's a really good deal all around. Provides a veteran guy for all the young guys coming in. So it's just a win-win.
And like worst case scenario, in that like Hart and Sandstrom both aren't ready in 2019 or in the 2020 off season. Basically, you're going into 2020, 2021. Holy shit, that's going to be so annoying when we have to actually say that.
Oh, yeah.
As a year.
2020.
Oh, God. 2020, 2021. I already want to freaking die at that.
I might just call it 20 squared,
Yeah, honestly, I think that might be the best option. But in the 2019-2020 offseason, Sergei Bobrovsky's a free agent. So, worst case scenario, we sign Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
I'm totally kidding. That's not going to happen, but...
Yeah. He's going to get an extension. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Columbus is going to let him go unless he just completely shits the bed at the next, 2 years.
Unless he decoys to come back to Philly.
Very true, very true. I mean, Paul Holmgren isn't the GM anymore, so he won't have, war flashbacks. Lavi isn't the coach anymore, so...
Yep, he's clean slate.
Yeah, I really like the deal with Elliott. He's gonna... It's gonna be a platoon. It's gonna be the same thing, basically, that went on last year. It's kind of annoying because you want a number one goalie, obviously, but we weren't gonna get one in the off season. Well, if we signed Steve Mason, maybe we would have, but just gonna keep blanking that out like Steve Mason never left. But yeah, I really don't see any negatives in this Flyers offseason. They got Nolan Patrick. Their offense is just looking fantastic next year. Lindblom and Patrick being in this forward core, Sanheim, Hag, Moran, even Myers could maybe even make the defense next year. We'll finally see less of Andrew McDonald. Hopefully he's not on the top pair anymore. If he's on the top pair next year with Provorov, I might have to drive to Philly and just punch Dave Haxel in his face. Because I can't take another year of that. That's just going to be torture.
Yeah.
But, other than... oh, yeah, Jordan freaking Wheel. Almost forgot about him. Signed a 2-year, 1 point... I completely forgot. What the hell is... 1.75?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 2 years at 1.75 for Jordan Wheel. So he's also going to be a part of the forward core next year. A lot of people are freaking out about maybe losing him to Vancouver because he visited Vancouver, which I don't understand why people are freaking out about that. He's a free agent. He's going to see what he can get. That's just what they do. But,
yeah, but plus it's Vancouver. They're a dumpster fire.
And also, he grew up in Vancouver, so I'm sure he was just I'll just see, why not? Might as well just see what they got. And then he saw what Vancouver's lineup is looking like, and they're like, oh shit, we're coming back to Philly.
Yeah. Yeah, given the... Even though the Philly didn't make the playoffs last year, given the chance, or given the choice, you're picking Philly 1,000 times out of 1,000 because of how much they've improved.
Vancouver has the Sedides, and that's about it. They got fucking nothing else.
Nothing.
Yeah. So Flyers and Sixers just look really good next for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
I will miss Steve Mason forever.
Fall sports this year are going to be
fall sports.
So much fun. Even if the Sixers, I wouldn't even say disappoint. Even if the Sixers kind of underperform a little bit, show their youth and whatever. And if the Flyers take a year to kind of get acclimated with some of their new signings before making a run at something in 2018-19, like even in those cases, I would still have a good time this spring or this fall into spring because of how
young
promising
everyone is,
and like how much talent is on both of these teams. So, and even you gotta include the Eagles in there too because they're looking really good as well. So.
Like, Alshon Jeffrey is still a thing. Like, I feel like we kind of keep forgetting, like, that.
Yeah, like, we forget that we signed him. We signed Jernigan. We signed Torrey Smith.
Drafted really well.
Drafted Derek Barnett. The Eagles are, like, we don't really talk about it much because, like, not much happens nowadays with them because, like, free agency isn't really a big thing in the NFL.
And also, it's basically just all happened. Like, we're just kind of waiting now until training camp and
we're kind of waiting, And I think that starts up in maybe 2 weeks at this point.
It's soon,
weeks,
like I think it's, like, the week before the last week of July or something.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's like, I want it, for whatever reason, July 21st is in my head right now. So, I don't know. Maybe it's like that, but...
That sounds about the areas, so...
How about?
But yeah, so theme of this is fall sports are going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And the Phillies are kind of getting better.
Yeah,
Nick Williams
they've been playing
now.
a little bit better. Yeah, they had their recent 9-game road trip. They finished 4-5 on it, so not bad. And like Kyle just said, Nick Williams was promoted. Finally, he was promoted on the 30th, which was the first day of the Mets series. He was, he found out. I don't know if you heard the story about how he found out. But he was in the Lehigh, or he was, I forget where they were playing. I want to say Rochester for whatever reason, but it might have been home at Lehigh, or in Allentown. But he was in the locker room, and he was at his locker doing whatever, and he got called into Dusty Wathan, who is the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs manager. He got called into his office because he, quote-unquote, did something wrong. And then he got in there, and Dusty was like, so Nick, I've been looking at your home to first times, and they're a little bit slow. And Nick said that he was thinking in his head, like, he was looking at his times, and they were like the fastest they've ever been, and so he was like thinking like what the hell, and then he was like blah blah blah, and he was like So then Nick was saying whatever, and then Dusty was like, "All right, well, you better." He's like, "Well, he's like, all right, because I don't want to have Pete be calling me up, telling me, complaining about your home to first times." And then he realized. So
that's freaking awesome.
It's a pretty good way to find out your, I don't know if it's pretty good, but it's a pretty interesting way to find out you're going to the big. So
I'm sure it was kind of stressful for him at first, like. The fuck is he talking about? Like,
he's probably thinking like, "Oh no, this is like 2016 all over again."
Especially since he has history with that too. Like,
I'm gonna be. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be." He's like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna be waiting until September to get my call." Yeah, but no.
Gonna get benched again.
Called up. Yeah, but he's played really well. So he's played 3 games. He started all 3 games in the lineup. He was in I think his first game he was 6th in the lineup. And then in the second and third games, I believe he hit 5th in both.
Sounds right. I think so, at least.
I believe so, yeah. So he's hitting .364. I mean, I would get it. It's been 3 games. He has I'm not sure his exact. Hang on, let me look here. I think he has 4 hits now. I want to say because he had a hit in each of his first 2 games, and then he had 2 hits in today's game, which is Sunday. He had 2 hits in today's game. All singles, all bullets. Like, he's been hitting rockets. Like, his second single in the Mets game on Sunday was, I think, like 109 miles an hour. So
what we're saying is he hits the ball hard.
Yeah, Nick Williams he's looking like he wants to stay here because there were reports coming out from Todd Zielecki, the guy, the Phillies writer for MLB.com, Jim Salisbury for CSN Philly, everybody saying that, there's a good chance that this is not going to be a permanent thing, unless, Williams hits good, and he's been hitting really good in his first 3 games. He looks pretty comfortable at the plate. I believe he's only struck out twice. He did strike out in his first game. He struck out in his 3rd game, but I'm not too positive. I'll check right now, actually, if he struck out in his 2nd game. He did not. So, yeah, he's only struck out twice, which is really good, given the fact that he's batted about 15 or so times. I think it was maybe 14 times. So 2 for 14, not bad. 1 for 7. That's about 12% K rate at this point. Maybe a little bit more than that.
Which is a lot. But still, like it's
a little bit more than that, but still, yeah.
It's like Nick Williams is a guy that we've known for years. Known basically ever since he came over here. Like, he is what he is. He's gonna hit really well when he gets contact, but when he doesn't, he's gonna strike out like all the time. So it's good to see him have a lot better approach than what he had in the minors.
Yeah, I don't.
Last year.
He might have walked. I think he's walked once, maybe. But don't quote me on it. I'm not. I could look, but it's like so tedious just to keep checking. Basically, what we're saying is he's looked really good through the first 3 games.
And in case you're wondering how he got called up, basically, Howie Kendrick went on the DL.
Yeah. So. Yeah, which it sucks. Obviously, that's how he had to be promoted, but you never know.
If we get Nick Williams, I'm not going to really complain that much.
Yeah, the only thing that I would the only thing that is kind of that kind of sucks is now it's weird because Ty Kelly, for as little as I want to say, he's been playing a little bit better as of late. Daniel Nava, he's not going anywhere because he's going to be a trade candidate at the deadline. I don't want to get rid of Andres Blanco because he's Andres Blanco. Like, he could literally do anything. He's like their emergency catcher. He could play literally anywhere in the infield. He could pitch if we're getting blown out or if we're blowing the other team out. So literally, there's not many things that he can't do. So I don't think I want to get rid of him. So it would be a tough kind of. It'll be tough when Howie is healthy again to kind of find who. I mean, unless they demote somebody from the bullpen and go with a short bullpen, but I don't know if they want to do that at this point. So that'll be tough.
I mean, you would hope by then that they have found like a trading partner for Nava, and they can just steal him and not have to worry about it, and just keep Williams up here with Howie.
Yeah, because Nava isn't a guy that you're gonna wait to the deadline until to get what you want. Like, you're like the first pretty good offer, you're gonna take it.
Exactly. Like, if you get just a marginal prospect, they'll be like, "Yep, we'll do it. Just get him out of here. We just want to get the prospects up," and that's how it should be. Like, it's time. It's time to get these guys up, especially guys like Williams who are just too good for AAA, and like he's learned all he can down there, and I hope that he can just stay up here for good because. I'm tired of waiting at this point. Like, I just want these young guys to be here and see what they got. And
at this point, you got to really figure the September call-ups are literally going to be the Lehigh Valley. I mean, assume you gotta take into account like their playoffs and whatnot.
But it's mostly going to be them.
It's going to be because the thing down there is they're not going to take them and call them up in the middle of the playoffs. Like, they'll let them play it out. Like, that's why Alfaro came up as late as he did because he was in Reading playing, and that's why Roman Quinn came up as late as he did because he was in Reading playing. But honestly, like I bet you the whole outfield, except for Poland, I don't think Poland gets a September call. But I think Cousins will get one. I think. Roman Quinn, if he's back and healthy, he gets one. Reese Hoskins is a lock. He's going to get one.
Yeah,
Alfaro, he's going to get one. I bet you JP gets one. Kingery, I bet he gets one. Literally the whole Lehigh Valley starting lineup practically is going to get one. Who knows? Maybe they'll give Pedro Florimon a look. He's really nothing. He's not going to be here long term. He's kind of just in Lehigh Valley at the moment as a placeholder, but...
Yeah. He's there just to make the AAA team better. That's about it.
Yeah, but pretty much a lot of the AAA roster will get a September call-up. And then you got to figure in AA, I don't even know who would get a call up from there. Who would get a September call from there? If anybody, I would say Gianluigi Trump, but
yeah, that would make sense.
And that's like an if. I bet 1% from Reading that I do think gets one, whether he's in Reading at the time or not, is Victor Arano, because he was the guy that got injured in spring training. And
that's right.
Yeah, he's like really, really good. He was projected to kind of be ready for the big leagues possibly this year, but he got injured, so he's in AA right now. He'll probably finish the year in AAA. More than likely, at least. You know, there's a chance that he could not do well and stick in AA. But he'll probably end up finishing in AAA. But yeah. But speaking of AAA, Eduardo Ramos was optioned there after giving up on more runs than you probably should.
To say the least.
Yeah. So, but he's pitched really well. He's been in 2 games since he's got demoted. 3 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, and a save. So hopefully he can keep that up, regain some confidence, come back up better than ever. Because we all know he was really good last year. So that's the thing that we want to happen. Ricardo Pinto, he was recalled in Ramos' place. He's pitched really well too. He's been in 2 games. He has pitched 4 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. He did get a win as well. So both of those guys, hopefully they can keep what they're doing. And then hopefully when Nishik and or Benoit are dealt at the deadline, Ramos could come back up. Maybe, I don't even know who else would come up. Maybe Venditti, but I'm not sure at that point. If we needed 2 guys.
I think they would just rather go with Ramos at that point. Just because he's been here.
Yeah, maybe they would also call up if the case came where we needed 2 guys. If both Benoit and Nishik were traded, then Ramos would definitely be called up, and then maybe they would take a guy. Maybe they would give Mark Appel a shot. I don't know. He might
if he keeps up because he's been pretty good lately. But it all depends on if he can keep that up.
Yeah.
It all depends.
Yeah, it just depends. So. Vince Velasquez, he had a rehab start with Lehigh Valley as well on the 1st of July, which is Saturday. He went 2 innings. He gave up a hit, a run, a walk. Didn't strike out anybody. Threw 33 pitches, 17 of which were strikes. And another rehab start, Zach Eflin. He was down with the GCL Phillies. He threw 3 innings, gave up 2 hits, no runs, no walks, struck out 3. I don't know how many pitches he threw. They don't have the pitches in the box scores for the GCL games for whatever reason, so I don't know. Why? I don't know why, but they don't. I would assume GCL, if he threw 3 innings and the severity of his injury is as little as it is, because it's not really a severe, too severe. It wasn't really too severe of an injury as it once was thought. I bet you 3 innings. He probably gave up 2 hits. I would probably say in the high 30s, maybe the low 40s. So
yeah, especially since he didn't walk anyone. Like it's
I
doubt that he threw that many. Very most like 40s or 50s, but I doubt it.
Yeah, and then finally, Scott Kingery up to AAA. Thank God.
Finally.
Thank God.
Took forever.
So yeah, he had a pretty good first week as well. He went 7 for 24. 3 of those 7 hits were home runs, so definitely wasn't the Reading effect.
No, that has been debunked. That has officially been debunked.
Yeah, he stole 2 bases. But he did, however, strike out 7 times, did not walk, and had 2 errors. So yeah, that's a thing. Brandon LeBrant, I believe is how you pronounce it. Maybe it's LeBron. I'm not sure.
I think it's Lee Brandt, but I don't know.
It is Lee Brandt. You're right.
Okay.
It is Lee Brandt. He was also called up to AAA, and he went 5 innings in his only start so far. I think he's scheduled to start either today, which is Sunday, or Monday. 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. He's not going to be something... He's kind of like an Eshelman guy, but just a little bit... No, I wouldn't even say worse. Just like a little bit less impactful than an Eshelman. going forward. But Eshelman isn't. He's just having a really good season with Lehigh Valley. I don't think he'll be anything great moving forward, but
probably a September call up just to see what they got in him.
Yeah, I bet you they do. Yeah, I would, especially if Hellickson is moved.
Oh yeah, definitely. Then
if Hellickson is moved, or if any injuries to the rotation come about again, which hopefully, fingers crossed, there's nothing. Maybe he gets a bullpen look, Eshelman. But the thing with him is he doesn't even throw more than I'm pretty sure he's like a lighter type where he doesn't really throw that hard.
Yeah, I don't remember him throwing that. I think it's only 93 or 94 is his max.
Yeah. So, it's I don't know. You gotta hope that he does turn into something because more pitching the better.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally the golden rule. You want more pitching. So
you always hope your prospects turn out. It's just sometimes they won't.
Yeah.
And especially guys who don't have really impact pitches. So.
Yeah. Also, Ranfi Casemiro, great name. He had a weird week, or week and a half too, something like that. He started. I think he was in Lakewood, 2 weeks ago.
Oh Jesus!
Then he was promoted to Clearwater, came out of the bullpen twice. Then he was promoted to Reading, started one game. Then he was promoted to Lehigh Valley. I think that's what his week goes. Maybe he started in Clearwater, and not Lakewood, but still,
crazy.
he was with 3 different teams in the last 2 weeks, I believe. So, yeah, that's a little bit nuts.
It's a little bit much. Goddamn.
Yeah, he's pitched decently well with Lehigh Valley. I believe he had a start. Did he have a start? Maybe not.
I'll look it up quick.
I don't see his name. Oh yeah. Wait, no, he didn't. Okay, it's whatever. I think he'll probably end up starting. I don't even know. He'll probably end up starting sometime.
If he did, it's not on Baseball Reference.
Yeah, I know he definitely had a start with Reading.
Yeah, he had 2 with Reading.
Yeah, he went 10 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, a walk, and 6 Ks throughout the 2 starts.
All right. Then.
So yeah, whatever. Whatever, I guess. I don't know. He had a weird week. He had a weird week. Cole Irvin, who was with Clearwater, he was having a really good year. He was promoted to Reading. He didn't start this past week, so pretty much at that point it was just his turn in the rotation.
Yeah.
That he got called up. I would assume. Because Kilme, he's not going to get called up for a little bit yet. Tavares, he's not going to get called up for a little bit. Wakespec just got to Clearwater, I think, a couple weeks ago. Edgar Garcia, he probably would have been the other option. Alberto Tirado has been coming out of the bullpen, I believe, 3 times in a row now for Clearwater. So that's kind of that's a trend, I guess. So he might be moving to the bullpen, Alberto Tirado.
Makes sense. I mean, that's been kind of rumored ever since we got him. And he was with the came over from Toronto, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Probably the Ben Revere trade. I
think that's where we got him. That might have been Medina.
Sure.
I forget.
I think it was Toronto, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean that's kind of been. I think as soon as they traded for him, they were like, he's most likely going to get moved to the pen, but for now he'll be a starter. So. It's not too surprising.
Yeah. He got. Yeah, it was the Ben Revere trade. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I was really confused because it was saying something with Jimmy Cordero. I was like, we definitely didn't get him in the Cordero deal. But it was saying that he got that we got Cordero and Tirado in the Revere deal.
Oh.
So yeah.
I thought we did. Oh, I don't know then. Fuck.
Yeah, we did. We got Tirado and Cordero in the Revere deal, but then obviously Cordero got traded. So yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. Okay.
So yeah, Cole Irvin, he'll probably start for Reading soon because I think his turn in the rotation was next for Clearwater. Before or after Killamay, maybe before Killamay, but they had a day off, or ran out, so they probably were fine with him on rest. So, and then Jojo Romero, he is now on Clearwater. Pretty much just the effect, the domino effect. Casemiro was promoted. Irvin was promoted. Casemiro was from Reading to Lehigh. Irvin was from Clearwater to Reading. Romero was from Lakewood to Clearwater. I guess you could say Addison Russ was part of that. He was promoted to... Addison Russ was our 19th rounder this past season. And he... I believe he was with Williamsport. And then they called him up to Lakewood.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and then right. Adam Hazley, the first rounder this year, he's been hitting the shit out of the ball. So in 3 games in the GCL where he started, he went 7 for 12 with 4 RBI, a double, a triple, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a stolen base, and a caught stealing. So he had he hit over 500 there. And then he was called up to Williamsport, and he played, I believe, 2 games there, maybe 3? 2 games, and he's hitting 500 there. Has a run, a ribby, a double and a walk, and a strikeout and a stolen base. So
he's having a pretty good start to his Phillies career.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I bet you he's probably in Lakewood within the next month. So
that's really good because you have to figure next year then he'll probably get to Reading at the end of the season. Because he'll get to Clearwater pretty easily.
I bet you it's a long shot, but I think he could end the year in Clearwater this year. And then he'll probably start next year in Clearwater. Move to Reading at some point. Maybe get like a late season call to Lehigh Valley if he's performing well. But in 2019, he'll probably be with Lehigh Valley until we need him up to aid in our World Series run or something. But
with Mike Trout, so he can pair in the outfield with Trout.
Or we could use him in the Mike Trout trade. That would also
fair
work.
enough. I wouldn't as much as I like him. Mike Trout.
Yeah.
You don't turn down a Mike Trout deal.
Yeah, unless you're giving up like the whole roster, no. And then every top 10 prospect in the system, no. But it's Mike Trout.
We're thinking positive here that we're gonna get Mike Trout or Bryce Harper. So.
Yeah, pretty much we are thinking positive. But yeah, for the actual Phillies, they have been. Actually, one more thing for the minor leagues. J.P. Crawford came back from injury. So he injured, I believe, his groin. He had like a strained groin or something like that. And he came back from that on June 21st, I think, maybe June 20th. And ever since then, he has hit about 270. And that's after struggling a little bit this past week. I think he hit just about 200 this past week. Yeah, he hit just about 200 this past week, but he did have 2 triples and a double.
And his average is at 207 now, so that's
along with 7 walks, to go along with 2 strikeouts only. So his approach still there. His gap power is coming around a lot more than we kind of thought, because 3 of his 4 hits this week were for extra bases, 2 of which were triples. And I don't think he had 2 triples the whole year before this past week. Who else had a decent week? Nobody really had that good of a week for Lehigh Valley. They lost, I think, like 5 of their 6 games this week. They lost 3 in a row, then they beat Pawtucket, lost to Pawtucket, beat Rochester, lost to Rochester. Yeah, so they won 3 of their 7 games this week. I
figured that was going to happen some point this year.
At some point. But yeah, nobody really had that good of a week for them, so that's kind of the explanation there. Reading, they did have a good week. They won, I believe, every game but 1. Sorry, 2. They won every game but 2, and they played 8 games because they had 2 doubleheaders. And, well, the second doubleheader was like a resumed game from the day before because it got rained out. But,
okay. But still, yeah, it's still pretty good in the minor leagues. Like, we got, like, Lehigh's struggles lately, like, you just kind of expect, especially a team with, like, so many good prospects, like, eventually they'll just kind of have, like, a off week, and they're just all having it together, sadly. But
yeah. Name to watch for, real quick, Mitch Walding. He is a third base prospect. He, this week, went 12 for 25 with 8 RBI, a double, a triple, 3 home runs, and 4 walks to 6 strikeouts. Also stole a base. So, for you people who are already giving up on Maikel Franco, there's your third base prospect to look for in the next couple of years. And there's another one down in Williamsport right now, I believe, Cole Staub, who also had a good week, I think. Yeah, decent. 6 for 22. Did have 2 home runs and a double. 9 RBI somehow. I don't know how you have 9 RBI and 6 hits.
Seriously.
But yeah,
so many doubles.
A lot of the minor leagues are looking good. Williamsport came around. They started like 1-6. I think they're 6-6 now. But if you get a chance to go to a cross cutters game, go, because they're gonna be good. Jalen Ortiz could probably hit a ball 1.5 miles.
Just be careful about going into Williamsport because it's scary there.
Yeah,
Williamsport is not the best place to be, but
yeah, no.
But for a baseball game, I approve.
Yeah, it's alright. It's not horrendous. It's not the worst place you could be, but
it's not the best either.
Yeah, it's not,
to say the least. But
yeah, that'll really do it. That kind of wraps it for the talk. Obviously,
Nick Pivetta did really good today.
Yes,
7 innings,
threw 1 hit,
4 strikeouts too. It was like 1 run, 4 hits. I thought it was, I don't know. I forget how many hits he gave up, but
it was 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, which was a home run.
Oh yeah, that's right.
4 walks and 4 strikeouts. And then Benoit and Neris came and closed it out. The Phillies won 7-1. Nava 3 for 5, raising that trade stock. Tommy Joseph, Nick Williams, both 2 for 5 with a run.
Franco had a 2-run double, I think.
Andrew Knapp, yeah, Franco had a 2-run double. Started the scoring with that. He scored twice, walked once as well. Franco did. Andrew Knapp, he has been hitting really well as of late. His average is up to 264 now. Plus, he had that insane hustle play from second base on a pass ball. He scored from second on a pass ball.
That was the best.
Andrew Knapp.
I love him.
Yeah, that,
so great.
In my opinion, literally says, okay, Pete. If I was Pete Mackinnon, I would say, okay, Knapp's playing 5 out of 7 a week now. I think he's playing right now. I think right now they're about splitting 7 games. I think as of late it's been about Knapp 4, Rupp 3 or so. But right now I'm giving Knapp 5 to 6 games a week.
Easily. He's earned it. Like, that's the base of it. He's earned it.
Yeah. Plus Rupp's hitting like 200. So yeah.
So he's a better option too. So that works.
Rupp is literally just sitting there, and we're just waiting on Alfaro because next year Rupp is probably not here. Alfaro's probably our starting catcher next season. So
basically, with the Phillies, things are looking good. Yeah. Like, they're still pretty bad for this year, but the future is looking better and better basically each and every day. Yeah. And we're getting there. It's a rebuild. Gotta be patient.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's coming along. They've been playing a little bit better, like we said, 4-5 on the last 9-game road trip against who they played. They played the Mariners. They played the was it the Braves? I forget.
No, wasn't it? Didn't they play Arizona?
Arizona, yeah. The D-backs, the Mariners, and the Mets, who they're not bad teams. You know, the Mets or whatever, but the Mariners and the D-backs especially, they're arguably the second best team in the East, yeah, the NL. I'm just thinking, I'm just so locked in on fall sports, dude. Like, that's all I'm thinking.
Same. I need it so bad. Like, I don't care that school's coming up. I want fall sports. I will sacrifice my sanity because of education to just get my fall sports on.
Pretty much, yeah. It's gonna be a fun fall and winter and spring, hopefully, in Philly. Hopefully we get into May for both sports.
Maybe even June if we're lucky.
Yeah,
if
maybe
we're lucky,
June.
we get June.
If we're lucky, we can get June. Yeah, because the conference finals wrap up in June for basketball, and the conference finals for hockey wrap in May. So even if we got to the conference finals in either, I mean it's a long shot in both, or for both teams.
Like honestly, if we just get to May, I'm happy. Like if we get to May where we're talking about playoffs, I'm happy. Just get me the playoffs.
Yeah, like Mark Zumoff, who is the CSN guy for.
He's gonna be so great if this team gets really
him and Allah. Yeah, him and Allah, they're gonna be awesome.
Oh God,
it's gonna
I can't
be like,
wait, man. I can't.
Yeah, you're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear that damn 76ers song like 60 times a year at least for the next 10 years, starting maybe this year. Doubt it, but so next year for sure. It's gonna be fun.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm all giddy now. I'm just like, bring it on. Give me my teams.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, we just can't wait, as we've said 15 times today, but we don't care.
If you're tired of it, we don't care.
Yeah, we really don't. Really don't. We have to be excited about something.
Exactly.
The Phillies right now are our only thing, and
they suck, for the most part.
They suck, but they have Williams now. Knapp is playing well. Tommy Joseph's playing well. So, their young guys are playing well. The guys who are going to stick more than likely are playing well. Adubel, he's been playing well, too. I think he had, a little bit of a dry stretch, so they Pete sat him for the game today. But for the most part, he's been playing well. Franco, he's been
better.
Stagnant, but he's been a little bit better. He hasn't been striking out as much. He's been walking a little bit more. Hasn't really been... One thing I have noticed with him is he hasn't had a pop-up in 4 games, which is good.
Very true. Yeah, and he used to do that a lot. So.
Yeah. But really, there's nothing a lot to talk about. Next week is going to be the weirdest week because unless the Sixers and Flyers do something else in free agency or make trades or whatever, there's going to be nothing to talk about really until until the trade deadline for the Phillies. Unless somebody else gets called up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be...
We'll find something to talk about. We'll find something.
Yeah, there's always something to talk about in Philly. Always some articles that are written. We'll talk about 4 articles next week that are horrendous because there's at least 5 written a week that suck. So.
And they'll all be on Philly.com from the Inquirer.
Yep. Either hockey or basketball because
the
Eagles guys and Phillies guys aren't bad. Breen, those Breen,
solid.
Lawrence, McLean, those guys, they're pretty good. But,
basketball and hockey, though, they all suck.
Yeah, they're trash.
They are.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they're bad. But, that'll pretty much wrap it. So, unless you have something you'd like.
Nope, that's about everything.
Yeah.
Do you have a hot take this week?
I don't, actually. I was sitting here thinking about it. I thought, I was maybe I'll think of something, during the regular parts. And I thought about it for no room to lie. I thought about it for a solid 30 minutes before I looked on Twitter because that's usually where I find my hot takes. I just look on Twitter and I see something that I like and I'm like, oh, I'll do that. But I saw nothing. It is just a chill Sunday today, so I don't know. All
right, then I'll just give a quick one. Jaromir Jagr to the Flyers, yes please.
I would be for it. I would be for it.
But yeah, that's about everything. We'll figure out something for next week. It's gonna be, like Jared said, a weird week, but we'll just find some shitty articles to talk about. So
yeah, pretty much.
It'll be a fun time.
It will be. It'll be fun. So as always, thank you for listening. This has been the 22nd episode of the Drive Podcast. As always, we'll see you next week in the same place on YouTube. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next week.